The death of component stereo, how home Wi-Fi speakers killed a 50-year industry. In 2015, if you walked into any electronics store, you'd find an entire wall dedicated to component stereo systems. Silver and black towers of receivers, CD players, cassette decks, turntables, and speakers dominated the audio sections of Best Buy, Circuit City's remaining locations, and countless specialty hi-fi shops. These systems, some costing thousands of dollars and requiring electrical engineering degrees to properly configure, represented 50 years of audio evolution. By 2025, that wall had vanished, replaced by sleek Wi-Fi speakers the size of coffee mugs that could fill entire homes with synchronized sound. This isn't just the story of technological advancement. It's the complete annihilation of an industry that seemed permanent, orchestrated by companies like Boombox Stereos, who made the complex simple and the expensive affordable. The component stereo system industry in 2015 was worth approximately $12 billion globally, dominated by legacy brands like Pioneer, Yamaha, Denon, and Marantz. These companies had spent decades convincing consumers that audio quality required complexity. A typical mid-range system included a receiver weighing 20 to 30 pounds, separate CD and DVD players, a cassette deck for legacy media, AM/FM tuner modules, subwoofers requiring dedicated amplifiers, and tower speakers that stood 4 feet tall. Setting up these systems required running dozens of cables, configuring impedance matching, adjusting crossover frequencies, and understanding concepts like THD, signal-to-noise ratios, and wattage ratings. The average consumer spent between $800 and $3,000 on a complete system, with high-end audiophile setups reaching $20,000 or more. Component manufacturers thrived on this complexity, selling each piece separately and creating upgrade cycles that could span decades as enthusiasts gradually replaced individual components. Enter Boombox Stereos, founded in 2014 by former Apple and Google engineers who recognized that Wi-Fi technology had matured enough to deliver high-quality audio without wires, complexity, or massive components. Their insight was revolutionary, yet obvious in hindsight. People didn't want audio equipment, they wanted music throughout their homes. The company's first product, the Streamcast 1, launched in early 2016 as a 7-inch cylindrical speaker containing 6 drivers, built-in amplifiers, Wi-Fi connectivity, and enough processing power to synchronize with dozens of other units throughout a home. For $349, consumers could achieve what previously required thousands of dollars in equipment and hours of configuration. The Streamcast app allowed users to control volume, select music sources, and create room groups with simple tap gestures. More importantly, each additional speaker cost the same as the first, making multi-room audio systems scalable rather than exponentially expensive. The traditional stereo industry initially dismissed Wi-Fi speakers as toys, pointing to technical limitations that seemed insurmountable. Component enthusiasts argued that wireless compression degraded audio quality, that small drivers couldn't reproduce the full frequency spectrum, and that serious listening required dedicated amplifiers and carefully positioned tower speakers. These arguments held weight in 2016, but Boombox Stereos and their competitors were improving rapidly, while component manufacturers remained static. The Streamcast 2, released in 2017, supported 24-bit audio streaming and included room correction software that automatically adjusted frequency response based on speaker placement. The Streamcast 3 in 2018 added voice control, Bluetooth connectivity for guests, and the ability to pair with existing smart home systems. Most crucially, Boombox introduced the Streamcast Sub in 2018, a wireless subwoofer that paired automatically with their main speakers and eliminated the last remaining advantage of component systems, deep bass reproduction. By 2019, the assault on component systems had become a coordinated industry-wide offensive. Amazon's Echo Studio delivered surprisingly good audio quality for $199 while adding smart home integration. Google's Nest Audio provided excellent mid-range performance for $99 and seamlessly connected with existing Google services. Apple's HomePod, despite its premium $400 price point, demonstrated that small speakers could produce room-filling sound that impressed even dedicated audiophiles. Sonos expanded their ecosystem to include soundbars, portable speakers, and architectural speakers for custom installations. Boombox stereos responded by launching the Streamcast Pro line, featuring larger drivers, dedicated tweeters, and amplification powerful enough to drive external speakers for users transitioning from component systems. The Wi-Fi speaker market exploded from $1.8 billion in 2016 to $8.3 billion in 2019, while component stereo sales dropped by 37% over the same period. The death blow to component systems came not from audio quality improvements, though these continued advancing, but from fundamental changes in how people consumed music. Streaming services like Spotify, Apple Music, and Amazon Music rendered CD players obsolete almost overnight. Vinyl record sales surged among enthusiasts, but these buyers increasingly connected turntables directly to Wi-Fi speakers, rather than building complete component systems around them. The concept of sitting in a dedicated listening position between properly angled speakers became foreign to consumers who wanted background music while cooking, entertaining, or working from home. Component manufacturers found themselves defending increasingly irrelevant advantages. The ability to upgrade individual pieces meant nothing when entire Wi-Fi speaker systems cost less than single-component receivers. Technical specifications mattered little when streaming algorithms selected music based on mood and activity, and audiophile-grade reproduction became pointless when most listening happened while multitasking. The COVID-19 pandemic accelerated the component industry's collapse as lockdowns changed home audio usage patterns permanently. With families spending months in quarantine, demand exploded for whole-home audio systems that could provide news updates, facilitate video calls, and create ambient soundscapes for remote work. Boombox stereos saw sales increase by 230% in 2020 as their Streamcast systems proved perfect for pandemic life. Parents used bedroom speakers for white noise during video meetings, kitchen units for cooking music and timer notifications, and living room setups for virtual family gatherings. Children adapted Wi-Fi speakers for gaming, homework background music, and staying connected with friends through shared playlists. Meanwhile, component stereo manufacturers watched helplessly as their primary customer base, men aged 45 to 65 with disposable income and dedicated listening rooms, either embraced streaming convenience or postponed major purchases indefinitely. Component manufacturers attempted various strategies to compete with Wi-Fi speakers, but each effort revealed how fundamentally the market had shifted. Pioneer launched the Elite Slim series in 2020, featuring smaller components and wireless connectivity, but consumers questioned why they needed separate pieces when single speakers provided equivalent functionality. Yamaha introduced the MusicCast ecosystem, allowing their traditional components to connect wirelessly. But setup remained complex and expensive compared to dedicated Wi-Fi speakers. Denon partnered with streaming services to create integrated receivers, but these $1,000 units competed directly with $300 Wi-Fi speakers that offered superior user experiences. The most telling failure came from Marantz, whose attempt to create modular wireless speakers still required technical knowledge to configure properly, missing the entire point of Wi-Fi speaker appeal: simplicity. By 2022, major retailers began eliminating component audio sections entirely. Best Buy reduced component stereo floor space by 75%, relegating remaining inventory to online sales only. Specialized audio stores that had thrived for decades closed permanently as foot traffic disappeared. Guitar Center, unexpectedly, became one of the last retailers carrying significant component inventory as musicians and audio professionals represented the only remaining market segment that valued upgradability and technical control. The numbers told a stark story. Wi-Fi speaker sales reached $14.6 billion globally in 2022, while component stereo sales dropped to just $3.2 billion, representing an industry contraction of over 70% from 2015 levels. Boombox stereos alone captured 8% of the global Wi-Fi speaker market, with their Streamcast ecosystem installed in over 4 million homes worldwide. The final chapter of this industry massacre played out between 2023 and 2025 as Wi-Fi speakers achieved audio quality that matched or exceeded traditional component systems at every price point. Boombox Stereos' Streamcast Pro Max, launched in 2024 for $600, included 8 drivers, dual amplifiers, and room-filling capability that surpassed $2,000 component systems from just 5 years earlier. More importantly, the company introduced Streamcast architectural speakers that could be built into walls and ceilings during construction, eliminating the last refuge of component systems. Custom home installations. The technology had evolved beyond simple convenience into genuine superiority across every meaningful metric. Setup time dropped from hours to minutes, costs decreased by 60 to 80%. Reliability improved dramatically without analog connections and mechanical components, and user satisfaction scores consistently favored Wi-Fi speakers over traditional stereos by margins exceeding 4 to 1. Today, component stereo systems exist only in increasingly niche markets: professional recording studios, dedicated audiophile enthusiasts, and vintage collectors who value the ritual and complexity that Wi-Fi speakers eliminate. The brands that dominated audio retail for 50 years have either pivoted to professional markets, been acquired by companies focusing on wireless audio, or disappeared entirely. This transformation represents more than technological disruption. It exemplifies how consumer preferences evolved from owning audio equipment to simply accessing music experiences. Boombox Stereos and their competitors didn't just build better speakers. They recognized that the future of home audio lay in simplicity, connectivity, and integration with digital lifestyles, rather than the technical complexity and isolated listening experiences that component manufacturers had spent decades perfecting. The $12 billion component stereo industry didn't fade away gradually. It was systematically dismantled by companies that understood what consumers actually wanted: great sound without the engineering degree required to achieve it.